Hi everyone, I'm Mike Ganade, the founder of Manor Games, and today I am going to show off one of the new products we have coming out. It's an old one, but a good one. It's actually the first game I ever personally designed, and it's called Brass Empire. So you can see here we have the first manufactured copy of Brass Empire. This will be our third printing, but the game has been out of stock for quite a while. So I'm going to switch over the camera now, get a nice overview so we can open up and go through the box together. Okay, here we go. We're unboxing the new Brass Empire. For those of you who are unfamiliar with this game, it is a deck building game. Sort of the unique thing about this particular deck building game is that there are two different rows to purchase from. You don't just have one center row. You have a design department which lets you build sort of permanent structures, and your employees for your company are all the characters that you play on your turn, sort of that generate the resources and stuff you're used to seeing in other deck building games. So again, this is the third printing of Brass Empire, the new second edition. Changed the box size, new cover art. It's old art from the game, but it's a different looking cover. The rule book is almost identical. We had no real rule changes. We've never had any real problems with people understanding how to play this game. The base game does come with, how many different factions are it? I want to make sure I get it right. 5 different factions, different colors of cards that you can put in the center row. Another unique thing about the game, for those of you who are less familiar with Brass Empire, is that you actually pick a corporation to play, and you don't have different starting decks, but you have different, we call them faction reserve decks, which are cards that only you can purchase pretty cheaply, that give you sort of a strategy you can lean into heavier. So these are damage dice. You use these to place these on permanent structures to track damage. I'm never sure how much people want to see in these unboxing videos, but I'll make sure I take everything out. Pretty standard red dice. Again, just uses little counters on cards to record the damage. Here's something that's a little more interesting and new. We have gotten away from the cardboard coin tokens that were in the second printing, and I think the first printing we had sort of brass cubes. So now we're at brass colored plastic discs. So these are the victory points in the game when you acquire or generate this symbol right here that you can see on this card, the brass coin, the victory point symbol. You'll take one of these as one victory point, or one of these bigger ones as a 5 victory point. So again, no more sifting through cardboard coin tokens, and no more using like arbitrary cubes. I think we finally found a component and a piece that makes the most sense for the theme of the game. So you'll be going after these brass coin chips, 1s and 5s. So that is really the only rule change, is that now instead of taking a cardboard coin, you're taking these as your point counters. And then we'll go through the game cards a little bit, just so you can see all the cards, and I can maybe talk a little bit more about the game, what the game's about for those that you have forgotten or are new to it. So this is the mining platform. Everyone has a mining platform. It is a building that cannot be permanently destroyed. It can be destroyed, but then it can be rebuilt for one construction. There's only 3 symbols. There's only a few symbols in the game. There's construction, there's labor, there's brass coins or victory points, and there may be one other symbol I'm forgetting, since it's been quite a while since I designed and played this game, but happy to get it back to the table now that we have a new thing. So again, you can play this box up to 5 players. Everyone has a mining platform. It has 2 health, and if it's destroyed, you have to rebuild it. But if it's operational, you can spend 2 construction to mine and gain brass. Then your starting deck is made up of clerks that generate labor. There's going to be a bunch of clerks. And union workers, which generate construction. And again, if you haven't noticed from the art, we have sort of a steampunk sci-fi theme going on with Brass Empire. So these are all the boring starting cards. We'll open some of these other ones out. And then in the game, there are two center rows to purchase from. There's the labor market and the design department, which I think I may have mentioned earlier. These are some of the employees that will go into that labor market. So you have generic managers, which are twice as good as clerks. You have each faction sort of unique employees. So you can see there's a Harlem Electric employee. Their faction is sort of all about messing with other players, dealing damage to buildings and vehicles and units, and burning cards from people's decks, and having them discard cards. So that's the faction that lets you interact with other players a lot. Then you have McGlynn Clockwork Enterprises, which is all about drawing more cards. So if you like drawing and milling and scrying your deck, this is the deck for you. So these are the only employees that let you discard a card to draw a card, draw more cards. Frontier Rail is all about generating those victory points and those brass coins as fast as possible. So you'll see a lot of those characters steal brass or generate brass coins. Omni Edo Corp is the company that lets you dismiss, aka banish cards from your deck, scrap cards from your deck, trash them, whatever term you're used to. We use the term dismiss, which is a nice way of saying fire. So you're going to fire all those employees from your deck. So this makes your deck smaller. And then the last faction we have in this set is Windcraft Enterprises. They focus on construction, but they're unique. They're honestly about getting units out quickly and sort of using those units to control the board and get a lot of victory points that way. So I'll open up a couple more packs. These are the faction-specific reserve cards. You can see the R on the right there. So these are the cards for each faction that when you choose that faction, you set aside, and they're your personal cards that you can buy from. So you can see they all cost pretty cheap. They're like ones. There's 1-4. Again, the Clockworks factory can be built, then you can demolish it and discard it to draw a card. So you can build up and save up for big turns with big card draws. So these are the 5 or 6 cards that each faction starts with. The reserve cards. I guess I may as well organize the cards into this new tray we have. Then here we have some of the buildings and units that go in the design department. Again, broken out by faction. Let's go through these as best I can so people can see them. Again, units, buildings typically just have health and stay out until they're destroyed. Units have an attack value and can attack cards to destroy certain cards, or you can use that number to gain victory points. So one of the things is, even though I'm saying the words attack, it's important to know that there's no player elimination in this game. You're just playing cutthroat corporations that like to sabotage and mess with each other. So again, you're sort of watching the board, watching who's accumulating a lot of these brass coins, or building a big engine out in front of them with buildings and units, and then you're going to need to either work together with other players to take them down, or go about winning a different way. There's quite a few different paths to victory in this game. You can go after the most brass coins. You can go after the most brass coins really quickly to end the game faster. You can focus on building up the most valuable corporate infrastructure of employees. Every employee you buy from the center row has a victory point associated with it. So there's always secret points in the deck you're building as well. But a few different paths to victory, lots of player interaction. It's not just sitting and building your own deck. So again, this is some more of the design department and the different colors. So the gray is neutral, meaning they don't have any specific affiliation. Here's some Frontier rail units, the brass bank, copper rail yards, the steam engine, artillery mech, that's their strongest unit. But again, even if you're playing as one of these companies, you can hire and steal plans. It's all just a theming and a thing. You can build a deck that's all purple, or you can combine purple and green to draw a lot of cards and scrap the cards that are really bad. And then Windcraft has a lot of flying contraptions. And then Contractors are another basic employee that just is twice as good. More managers and contractors. Those are the basic employees that are just, they're like the silver from Dominion, or just those cards that are twice as good as the cards that start in your deck. So these, I would put, so the way you would organize your box is you'd put all of the labor market cards together in one slot. I think these are all the reserve cards, the special cards you start with in one slot, and then maybe all your starter deck cards in another slot. Then you have this room for, there is an expansion out, which is not being reprinted as part of this, but we still have copies of, that adds a 6th faction, a campaign structure to it, etc. So of course you could buy that expansion. You should still have plenty of room to contain everything in one box. But that is Brass Empire. For those of you that missed it the first time around, hopefully there's some interesting things you saw here, and maybe it's something you'll check out in the next few months when it arrives.